8:55 Eastern Time, and Columbia and its affiliated stations bring you Elmer Davis and the news.
Whether you call this a world war or only a European war, most of the news about it today comes from Washington, where the Senate was busy whipping the neutrality bill into shape, while the State Department was asking both Germany and Russia about the American freighter city of Flint, captured by a German cruiser and sent as a prize into the Russian port of Murmansk. So far, German officials say they know nothing about it. If the city of Flint carried contraband, the right of the Germans to capture it is not questioned, but our government maintains they had no right to take it into a neutral port. What President Roosevelt and the State Department were most concerned about was the crew of the freighter, of whom no news has been received. An Amsterdam dispatch says it is rumored that the Germans want to question the crew about the sinking of the Athenia, many of whose survivors were brought back to Halifax by the city of Flint last month. But according to newspaper stories at the time, the freighter took the survivors off the yacht Southern Cross the next morning, apparently after the Athenia had already sunk. The Canadian minister in Washington today told the State Department that the owners of the Athenia have declared that the ship carried no arms or munitions, even as cargo, thus contradicting the famous Anderson affidavit, though Mr. Anderson didn't say he saw the guns himself. The Senate got on so fast with the neutrality bill today that Mr. Barkley, the administration leader, thought it might come to a vote tomorrow, though more probably not till Thursday. The amendments written into the bill changed it considerably. One of them cut out the provision for 90-day credits. For what belligerents buy here, they must pay cash. Another permitted trade by American ships in everything but arms and munitions with British and French dominions and territories in the Pacific and Indian Oceans and in the Atlantic south of Bermuda, as well as with Bermuda itself and with ports on the southern coast of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Further, the Senate voted that title of goods shipped to these regions or to Canada need not be transferred to foreign purchasers before shipment. We haven't the text of that amendment yet, but it seems to mean that so far as Canada is concerned, cash as well as carry is out, something perhaps made necessary by our close economic relations. Perhaps most important, American commerce with the neutral countries of Europe will not be shut off unless the President in his discretion should declare the seas around any of those countries a danger zone. Senator Taft tried to have all the waters 300 miles around Europe declared a danger zone, but his proposal was overwhelmingly voted down. Mr. Taft warned the Senate that if trade with neutrals is allowed, Germans will seize American goods bound to neutral ports on the ground that they are meant to be transshipped to belligerents. According to the experience of the past war, the Germans will, and so will the British, even more so. But the Senate apparently found the problem of controlling trade with European neutrals too tough to try to handle. All these measures were moved through so swiftly with Vice President Garner in the chair that Senator Clark accused Mr. Garner of railroading legislation. Mr. Garner denied it, but said it would be no horse and buggy affair either. For the first time in months, the Roosevelt wing and the Garner wing of the Democratic Party seem to be working in perfect harmony today, though there's no evidence as yet that any such harmony can be attained in domestic policy. The German Foreign Minister von Ribbentrop, speaking at Danzig today, said that Germany will fight on until, quote, the security of the Reich is assured and guarantees given that a similar attack on the German people will be excluded for all time, end quote. Phraseology so close to that employed in recent declarations by French and British leaders that one cannot help wondering if the resemblance wasn't deliberate. Ribbentrop fiercely attacked the British, saying they had been secretly plotting the war and the destruction of Germany for years, a remark that must have come as a surprise to the numerous Englishmen who have been criticizing their government up to last spring for being too weak with Germany. Ribbentrop also said that only a sick mind could construct any possibilities of dissension between the United States and Germany, but that the British colonies on this side of the Atlantic were a menace to the Monroe Doctrine, which he said Germany, more than any other nation, had always respected. The Finnish delegates Paasikivi and Tanner, who have been talking with the Russians today, went home for fresh instructions, and it is said they won't return to Moscow till next week, which looks as if the situation is not acute anyway. And Russia today signed an agreement to deliver to Germany 1 million tons of fodder and cereals. Berlin says that deliveries will start in a few days and will be completed within 2 months, which indicates a much higher degree of confidence in the Russian transportation system than is felt by most neutral observers. What Russia will get in return is not yet stated.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.